The U.S. and our NATO allies are running dangerously low on ammo, Michael Snyder reports. This is not a time to be running low on ammo. A major conflict could erupt in the Middle East at any time, and thanks to the recklessness of the Biden administration, the U.S. could soon find itself fighting wars with both Russia and China simultaneously. On Sunday, we know that the UK Defence Minister resigned after he warned that there are 3 wars coming, one with Russia, one with China, one from the nations of Africa, and then he resigned. So you could imagine what's going on. Now, you would think that our military brass would be absolutely determined to make sure that we have plenty of ammunition stockpiled, but we don't. In fact, as a result of sending so much ammo to Ukraine, our own stockpiles have gotten dangerously low. This is something that General James Hecker commented on during a recent panel discussion. Speaking on a panel with the air chiefs of the United Kingdom and Sweden during the Chief of Air Staff's Global Air and Space Chiefs Conference in London, U.S. AFE Commander General James Hecker, who also leads U.S. Air Forces in Africa, urged fellow North Atlantic Treaty Organization NATO members to take a hard look at the status of their weapon stockpiles. He said, I think it's very important that we kind of take a stock of where we are in our weapon state across the 32 nations of NATO, and we're getting way down compared to where we were, said Hecker, who counted Sweden's expected accession to NATO among the collection of allied nations, a topic of heated discussion at the NATO summit in Lithuania this week. Hecker supports sending ammunition to Ukraine, but he admits that we're getting dangerously low, and he's hoping that factories here in the U.S. can start producing more. He said, if you look at the U.S. itself, and let's not just talk about the munitions we recently have given away to Ukraine, but we are at roughly half the number of fighter squadrons that we were when we did Desert Storm, Hecker said, pointing to a similar decline in fighter strength for the UK. He said, so we don't have nearly what we had at the heart of the Cold War. Now you add that, we're giving a lot of munitions away to the Ukrainians, which I think is exactly what we need to do, but now we're getting dangerously low, and sometimes, in some cases, even too low, that we don't have enough, and we need to get industry on board to help us out so we can get this going, he said. But of course, factories here in the UK and the US have already been making ammo as fast as they can. More capacity is planned, but it takes time to build new facilities. In the UK, military officials are facing a similar crisis. The United Kingdom, the UK, is running dangerously low on weapons and ammunitions as a result of the war in Ukraine, the nation's lackadaisical efforts to replace them, urges the former British Secretary of Defense, Secretary General of NATO, Lord Robertson. He says if you talk to senior military people, even those in office at the moment, some will be quite categoric that Britain is running dangerously low on stocks of ammunition, stated Lord Robertson, who defended British Defense Secretary Ben Wallace's "We are not Amazon" rebuke after Ukraine President Zelensky drew up a wish list of all the weaponry he wanted from the UK. This is the same Ben Wallace who resigned as UK Defence Minister. Okay, he's no longer UK Defence Minister. Now the story is the same in NATO country after NATO country. Stockpiles have been depleted, and there simply is not enough manufacturing capacity to provide what the Ukrainians need. So for now, the Russians have a significant advantage. They can fire far more ammo at Ukrainians than the Ukrainians can fire back at them. And all of this military assistance that we're giving to Ukraine is also running us deeper into debt. Every single second of every single day, the U.S. government is borrowing enough money to purchase a brand new $60,000 luxury SUV. And now a new report from the Center Square notes that that's about how much the federal government is borrowing every second, every hour, every day, all week, all month, meaning it's borrowing enough to buy some 86,400 such vehicles in one day. Several more seconds just pass as you read this paragraph, and so now we are even deeper in debt. But even though we are borrowing and spending so much money, our own military just continues to shrink. And that's because most young Americans have absolutely no interest in serving in the military these days. Even children of current service members have been turned off. For example, 18-year-old Aiden Gilbert recently explained to Fox News why he does not intend to follow in his father's footsteps. Aiden Gilbert grew up watching war movies, fighting enemy combatants in video games, and listening to his dad's Marine Corps stories. He considered following his father's footsteps, but changed his mind as he saw the country and its leadership heading in a direction antithetical to his values. If we prioritize being woke and we can't actually protect the majority of American people, what's the point of having a military? Gilbert asked Fox News. Is it really worth joining and putting your life on the line for ideologies that we don't agree with and that we don't want to necessarily protect? Considering what the Biden administration has done to our military, it's tough to argue with him. Our military has become a great at holding diversity seminars and organizing pride marches, but what's going to happen if we actually have a fight to fight a major war? Just this week, Vladimir Putin warned that Russia will consider it a direct nuclear threat if the U.S. gives F-16 fighter jets to Ukraine. Russia will view the deployment of F-16 fighter jets to Ukraine as a direct nuclear threat to the Kremlin, Putin's foreign minister warned. Sergei Lavrov says Russia has privately warned the U.S., Britain, and France of the dire risks of a planned move to give Kiev the advanced warplanes. He implied that the use of F-16, for which Ukrainian pilots are now being trained, could lead to Putin unleashing tactical nuclear weapons. But there will be no peace talks. Joe Biden recently stated that we are going to be involved in the war in Ukraine for as long as it takes, and the Russians have absolutely no plans to back down either. So we are steamrolling towards the unthinkable, and we're completely unprepared to face our day of reckoning when it finally arrives. This is by Michael Snyder. He says about the author, my name is Michael, and my brand new book entitled End Times is now available on Amazon. In addition to my new book, I've written 6 other books that are available on Amazon, including 7-Year Apocalypse, Lost Prophecies of the Future of America, The Beginning of the End, and Living a Life That Really Matters, commissions earned. When you purchase any of these books, you help to support the work that I'm doing, and one way that you can really help is by sending copies as gifts to family and friends. Time is short, and I need help getting these warnings into the hands of as many people as possible. I've also started a brand new Substack newsletter, and I encourage you to subscribe so that you won't miss any of the latest updates. I have published thousands of articles on the Economic Collapse blog, End of the American Dream, and the Most Important News, and the articles that I publish on those sites are republished on dozens of other prominent websites all over the globe. I always freely and happily allow others to republish my articles on their own websites, but I also ask that they include this about the author section with each article. The material contained in this article is for general information purposes only, and readers should consult licensed professionals before making any legal, business, financial, or health decisions. I encourage you to follow me on social media, Facebook and Twitter, and any way that you can share these articles with others is definitely a great help. These are such troubled times and people need hope. John 3:16 tells us about the hope that God has given us through Jesus Christ. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish but have everlasting life. If you have not already done so, I strongly urge you to invite Jesus Christ to be your Lord and Savior today. And this is on The End of the American Dream by Michael Snyder. Please leave your comments, and thank you for your support. Please support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.